Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be crocheting these really easy, simple Betty's coasters. I crocheted these last year for a blog post and only just now got around to filming a tutorial for it. So this tutorial you're going to need some 100% cotton yarn. This is Lion brand 24/7 cotton. I love this yarn because it's mercerized, so it's kind of shiny and really durable. And then I'm using an H or 5mm hook. This is an easy level pattern. You won't need a lot of experience to do this one, but it's a really stunning look for such simple stitches. I'm going to be using two colors here. I'm going to want white as my accent color and then a base color. So I do recommend having two kind of contrasting colors to really make these coasters pop. Now we're going to start with a magic ring. And the way you do that is just wrap the yarn around your fingers twice. Hold that tail down, insert your hook, and we're going to grab that loop on the left, pull it under the loop on the right, slip out your two fingers, holding the ring in place, and then we're going to chain up two. If you need help with the magic ring or any of these stitches, please consult my Crochet Beginner series that's in a playlist over on my main channel page. So now we've chained up two, and we're going to work some double crochets into the ring. 10 double crochets here, right into the magic ring. So remember, double crochet, as you just saw, is yarn over, insert your hook, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through two, yarn over, pull through two. Again, there are individual videos in my Crochet Beginner series that will help you with all of these stitches. Really, you're just going to need a double crochet and chain stitches, and then that magic ring is all you're going to need to know. So as long as you can double crochet, really you can do these coasters very easily. So we're working 10 double crochets here. I do want to apologize for the lighting and the film quality here. I don't know what happened with my camera on this day when I was filming. Something strange happened and everything got this kind of pinkish tone. I've done my best to edit it to make things really clear. Hopefully you can still see what I'm doing clearly. But don't know what happened with my camera. It's awfully odd. So once we have those 10 double crochets, we'll be done with round one. There's only 4 rounds to this whole coaster. Super easy. So there I have 10, and then we're just going to pull on the tail, and that will kind of cinch up the magic ring. And then we're going to slip stitch in the very first stitch of the round, not in that chain 2 space, but in the first double crochet of the round. So remember to slip stitch, is we're going to insert our hook in the top of that stitch, pull up a loop, and then pull through. So now we have our perfect circle center. Make sure that tail is nice and tight. And now we're going to chain up 2 to start round 2. So there is 1 and 2, and now we're just going to work 2 double crochets in each stitch. So there is 1 double crochet, and then in the very same stitch work another double crochet. So down into the same stitch, this is a double crochet increase. So we're increasing, we're creating a flat circle here. So there we have 2 double crochets in the same stitch. Go ahead and work 2 double crochets in each stitch all the way around. Round 1 should have 10 stitches, and round 2 should have 20, so be sure to count your stitches at the end of each round and make sure that it matches the pattern. I have the written pattern linked in the description box below if you'd like to see that. So now moving on, we're here at the end of round 2. Make sure you're not stitching in the slip stitch there. And then we're slip stitching to the very first stitch of the round to join. After we have our 20 double crochets, we've slip stitched, and now moving on to round 3, we're going to chain up 2 once again. And we're going to do the same thing. We're going to do 2 double crochets in each stitch around. Now for any of you who are a little bit experienced crocheters and you've made flat circles before, you've made coasters before, this round 3 might seem a little strange that we're doing 2 double crochets in each stitch all the way around again. We're increasing all the way around. It will seem like you have way too many stitches when we finish round 3, but I promise that round 4 will even things out and make this a perfectly flat coaster. So just go ahead and work your 2 stitches in each all the way around. Now here we are finishing round 3. We now have 40 stitches, 40 double crochets in round 3, chain up 2, and our last round, round 4, we're going to double crochet in the very first stitch, because here and only here our chain 2 counts as a double crochet. So we're doing 1 double crochet in the first stitch, we're going to chain up 2, and then we're going to work 2 more double crochets all into the same stitch. So that same first stitch we worked, 2 more double crochets. This is a cluster, so from here on out I'll refer to this little grouping as a cluster, and it's just kind of creating this little pointed tip here, and we're going to do that all the way around. So next we're going to skip a stitch, we're going to single crochet in the following stitch. So single crochet, we're going to skip the next stitch, and then we're going to work a cluster. So the cluster is 2 double crochet. Remember, the first cluster just had the 1 to start off with because that chain 2 counted as a double crochet in this round. So we have 2 double crochet, chain up 2, and then 2 double crochet all in the same stitch. So 2 doubles, chain 2, and 2 more doubles all in the same stitch. So there is our cluster, that's what we're going to be repeating. We now have 2 clusters worked, and now we're going to do the same thing we did. Skip 1, single crochet. Single crochet is just insert your hook, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through, skip 1, and cluster. So basically what we're doing here is cluster, skip 1, single crochet, skip 1, cluster, and so on all the way around. And with these 40 stitches that you had in round 3, this should work out perfectly to have the perfect number of clusters and skips and single crochets all the way around. So go ahead and keep continuing that. If you need to rewind and watch me do those clusters a couple of more times, please feel free to pause and rewind as needed. So there we have our first 3 clusters done. Now I'm catching up here with you. I've worked almost all the way back around. We have 3 stitches left. We've worked our last cluster. We're going to skip 1 and single crochet just as we have been. And then we have 1 more stitch to skip, and we're just going to slip stitch into the very first stitch of the round. So that very first double crochet, we're just going to slip stitch up into that after we've skipped the last stitch. So here we have it. Technically our coaster is now done. I'm going to add a little accent with our white yarn. So you could leave it just like this if you wanted solid color coasters, but I'm going to add a little accent of white. If you are a brand new beginner to crochet, you can certainly leave it like this, finish off your yarn, just weave in your ends and be done. You still have a stunning coaster. But if you want to add a little accent with a different color, I'm going to be doing 1 more extra round of surface slip stitches with my white yarn. So just go ahead and grab that after you've finished off your main color. Grab your white yarn. Still working with 24/7 cotton here. And I'm going to make a slip knot. So just wrapping the yarn around my fingers, putting the tail behind the circle, reaching through and pulling. Basic slip knot. Get that slip knot onto your hook. Tighten it down but not too tight, because now we're going to slip it back off. Keep the slip knot in place. And we're going to be working between rounds 3 and 4. So identify where round 1, 2, and then where round 3 is. So where round 3 meets round 4, the tops of the round 3 stitches, there's 1, 2, and 3. Should be where all of these little clusters are being stitched. We're going to just stitch evenly around there. It's easy to see by identifying where those clusters are stitched into, just like this. So pick any of those cluster centers there and just insert your hook and then put the slip knot back onto your hook on the back side of the work. Pull it forward through that stitch, and now our yarn is joined. So now we're just going to surface slip stitch all the way around, and we're just going to follow this line, the top of round 3. And the way we're going to do this is just insert your hook down through the fabric we've crocheted, pull up a loop from behind, and then just pull through to slip stitch. It's a basic slip stitch, we're just not working it in the top of a stitch, we're working it through the actual fabric we've crocheted, and we can see what that looks like here. So we're just going to do that all the way around, so just work through every stitch all the way around. So you should still have about 40 slip stitches. If you have any less than that, it will pull your fabric and kind of pucker it and we don't want that. If you have more, it's going to kind of create some gapping, and that's not good either. So you should be working into the centers of those cluster stitches and then into each stitch. So you'll have one where your skip stitch was, one where your single crochet was, one where your skip stitch was, and then one more in the center of where that cluster is stitched. So just go ahead and continue that all the way around. It should be looking something like this. Now we've gotten back to where we started. Go ahead and stitch into the next to last spot, and then we're going to stitch again down into the same spot where we began. Pull that through, and now what we're going to do, since we've met up with exactly where we began, I'm going to snip that yarn, leaving a little bit of a long tail, maybe 10 inches or so. We're going to pull that all the way through, up and out the front. Tighten it just a tad to make sure it's not loose. I'm going to poke my hook up through the back and just wrap that yarn over to pull it down and through that same spot. So the yarn has started in the same spot and ended in the same spot. So we can see here that the tail from the beginning and the tail from the end are coming out the exact same stitch in the work. So all I'm going to do is just tie a knot here to secure this, and then I'll weave in those ends. So just tie a knot 2 or 3 times. And once you have your knot nice and secure, you can go ahead and weave the few ends you have. And then you have a nice finished two-tone coaster. And you can see here that where you've joined them, it's almost not noticeable. Anyone who didn't actually make this coaster probably won't notice where it's been joined. It's very easily ignored. I'm going to just snip this because I tied it several times, and it should be plenty secure for a drink to sit on. So here I have 2 of my coasters done. This mint colored one I crocheted about a year ago when I first wrote this pattern. You can see here that the new one, the pink one, is a bit smaller, and that's only because drinks have sat on this and kind of squished it a little bit. Those stitches are a bit flatter, so it looks a little bit bigger, but here on this one too, these stitches have not come undone. Everything looks great, and I've used this every day for a year. I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial on the Betty's coasters. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe to my channel for more fun videos.